Hey everyone, this is Friedel Hacker AJ Raven, and I'm back with my recap and review of Animal Kingdom season number 4, episode number 7, which is titled No Die Enemy. And I'm going to start by saying that I really enjoyed this episode. This must be like one of my favorite episodes in Animal Kingdom this season. And it opens up with Adrian telling Darren the truth about what he's up to, that he has been talking to the DEA, that there's a detective named Pierce that's been asking questions about the Cody family. And I am so glad that Adrian decided to tell Darren the truth. I am just so glad now these two can try and work something out, as long as Pope doesn't figure out. But I'm just glad that Adrian told the truth, and now, and yeah, let's see what happens. Like this scene was so amazing. You could see the pain and surprise in Darren's eyes, like especially after the fact that Darren ended up killing Colby last night. Yeah, Darren has a lot to think about, and now Adrian has dropped this truth bomb on him. Whoa, whoa, whoa! So Adrian asks Darren that he wants Darren to respond, but Darren doesn't. Like I said, Darren has a lot of things to figure out, and he just walks away from bed. He just gets off the bed and walks away, and Adrian is left alone. Like I said, and the hurt in Adrian's eyes, amazing scene, amazing, amazing, amazing. So it's next morning, and Pope wakes up. I think he checks on Angela, or maybe it's I think it's Angela's room, right? I'm not really sure. But anyway, he goes into the kitchen, and Angela's already there eating breakfast. And then these two have a conversation about who's going to take care of Smurf when she's sick. Again, I don't know what happened to my voice. So these two talk about who's going to take care of Smurf when she's sick, and Angela tells Pope that she knows that it's going to be Pope, and does she even have a will and all of that stuff, and you know that Angela is working on something. As far as Joshua is concerned, Joshua wakes up. He spent the night at his so-called girlfriend's house. I won't call her a real girlfriend because Joshua is using her to get the money. But he wakes up, he goes and notices that his so-called girlfriend's mom Meredith is working on that event, and Joshua is going to hit that event, and he goes in, he comes closer to the mom, and he volunteers to help her out. He tells her his so-called girlfriend, and now I was actually surprised that she was studying, but yeah, good for you, girl. Good for you. So, and the girl is like, you're going to go and you're not going to spend time with me, and you're going to go and work for my mom. And Joshua is like, yeah, because again, Joshua wants the money. He's going to ask the Cody boys to hit it. So over at Craig's house, Craig has been creating this bed for the child, the crib for the child, and it's quite a romantic, caring scene, but you know that Ren isn't comfortable about any of it. So during the flashback, it turns out that Pam, the waitress we got to see for a few seconds in the previous episode, who kind of hit it off with Jake, and has been living with them, and they haven't been moving because Jake got shot in the previous episode, and Janine isn't happy about any of it. Janine doesn't like Pam, and Janine also doesn't like staying in one place for too long. But the rest of the boys are okay because Pam has been cooking food for them. In the present timeline, Janine is sleeping, and Angela comes into the room and kind of scares her. And then these two talk, and Smurf offers Angela like $10,000 to disappear, and Angela is like, "No, I won't." And she also talks about how Angela's father had cancer and he died. And then there's a conversation about how Smurf ended up paying Julie to disappear. And Smurf is like, I'll give you $15,000. I want you gone. And Angela doesn't take the money. And basically, I'm like, Angela, you do realize that Smurf has killed and can get people killed. So you need to be careful about how you treat her. So Adrian, after he confesses to Darren, decides to call up Pierce, and he tells Pierce that he can't do this anymore. He can't snitch on Darren, and he can't snitch on Darren, and he doesn't want to do it anymore. And Pierce is like, yeah, I get it. you're in love, and even though you're saying that you're okay with going to jail, a pretty boy like you can't survive 6 months in jail and all of that stuff. And I'm like, maybe Adrian can survive if Darren decides to go to jail with him. It kind of reminded me of that Shameless thing where they did with Ian and Mickey, where they both ended up going to jail and in the same cell. So, and having that happy ending or whatnot. But it was weird. But I'm like, yeah, I don't think Adrian is going to jail. I think Adrian is going to run away and Darren is going to help him. So coming to the Cody's place, Joshua is coming back and Angela stops him before she goes off to work. And Angela tells Joshua that Smurf is dying and she's really worried whether or not Smurf has a will. And she wants Joshua to figure out if Smurf has a will or lawyers. And even if Smurf does have a will, is Joshua even in it? And she tells Joshua that Smurf owes her money and she owes her everything after especially what she did to him and his mother and all of that stuff. And Angela's like, I'll help you, Joshua. And yeah, it's weird. Joshua, don't listen to Angela. So in the house, there's Joshua and Smurf, and then the conversation begins with Joshua telling Smurf, because he already knows that Smurf is dying, he tells Smurf about the new job he's planning, and Smurf is like, yeah, it sounds good. And Joshua is like, I'll get the boys to scout the location, and I need the contact information for your fence. And at first, Smurf doesn't give her contact to the fence, because again, if Joshua is handling the fence, her name is Gia, I think. So if Joshua is handling the fence, then what use is Smurf? But anyway, Smurf reluctantly agrees to have Joshua meet the fence. So over in the flashback, Pam actually has her son staying with these dangerous men. And I'm like, whoa, Pam. And yeah, Janine is not happy about any of it. And Manny talks to Janine, and Manny actually tells Janine that she should lay off Pam and Jake, especially after what Janine did to Jake. She dumped him, and then she got him shot. And Manny is like, I think you're just jealous of Pam. And Janine is like, if you think that I'm jealous of Pam, yeah, you're a worse judge of character than I really thought you were. So Joshua decides to go and talk to Gia, the fence, and she agrees to fence the things they'll steal from the concert. However, she won't do anything unless Smurf is involved. And Joshua plays this emotional card where he tells Gia that Smurf is sick and she's dying, and it's easy that she goes through Joshua. And Gia agrees, and yeah, Joshua did a power move, and he won. So Craig and Darren come to the Cody's house, their mother's house, and Angela is there. And this is the first time they meet Angela, and they're talking. And in the kitchen, Pope is worried about Smurf. He wants Smurf. He asks Smurf if she needs a nurse or if she's going to chemo. And Smurf is like, I'm not going to go for chemo. And she also tells Pope that there's nothing for him to worry about because she won't leave him with a mess. So before they end up having lunch, Smurf goes and smugly tells Angela to walk away because they're having a family meeting. And Angela has no choice but to agree. So during the family meeting, Joshua tells the boys all of the plan, and everyone decides to do the job and scout the location today. And Darren walks away because Darren is like, I have work to do. I have some things to settle. And Pope goes and walks with him because, I mean, just last night, Darren killed a person, and he had Pope help bury him. And Pope is like, I think, Darren, you should sit this out. And Darren is like, no, I'm fine. I'm okay. It's good. So in the flashback, Janine notices Pam putting her son to bed, and Janine is not happy with Pam at all. And she actually complains about it to Colin. And there's also this scene where she throws shade at Pam's cooking, and yeah, it's a mess. So Angela, for some reason, decided to invite one of her friends over to the Cody residence, and I'm like, why? And this is a friend who also knew the Codys, who also knew Julie, and she's actually surprised that Angela isn't in prison. And apparently she got out 6 years earlier. And that's a red flag to me. I do think that she's on parole, and Yeah, someone is going to use Angela. Someone is actually using Angela to get closer to the Codys. That's what I think. So they all talk about, and the friend asks Angela why she's here, and Angela is like, Pope's letting me stay, and all of that stuff. And apparently, Angela is a thief. She had a gun, and yada, 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 all of that mess. So Smurf goes and meets her detective friend, and she wants him to tell him the name of the snitch, but he has no name. However, he does tell Smurf that it's Pierce who's after her. And Smurf, because she has experience with Pierce in the previous season, she's angry, and now and apparently she's going out of the city for a few days, and she tells her detective friends that when she's back, she wants the name of the snitch. So the boys end up scouting the location, and it's going to be a tough job. They can't wear masks. There are going to be a lot of people around. However, there won't be any cameras, so they have to figure out. And I'm excited to see how they'll pull it off. So over at the house, Smurf has Mia's older sister bring her some guns, and it was a fun little scene. And she's charging Smurf more and all of that stuff. And Mia's sister is like, "Why didn't you ask the boys to bring the guns?" And Smurf is like, "The boys don't have to know everything, because again, the boys don't know that Smurf had, Bass killed." So over the flashback, it turned out that Janine's suspicion that Pam is up to something came true. And apparently Pam ended up stealing all of the money and even stealing the van. And yeah, everyone is angry about it. And Janine is happy about it. And again, knowing Janine, she might have a hand in getting Pam to run away. She might have had given her the money and the key to the van. Who knows? Just to, prove her point. So Craig comes home and he notices that Ren isn't there, and Ren has wrote him a letter that's like, "Thanks so much for everything. Went to Somia's, whatever that name is." And like I said, Ren was very visually uncomfortable with all of the caring and love that Craig was giving her. So Smurf is getting ready. It's a cool little scene where she's where she's arming herself, taking the bullets and all of that stuff. We don't really know where she's going though. So, in a very weird scene that kind of made me feel afraid for Adrian's life, Pope decides to give Adrian a visit. And yeah, Adrian is worried. And these two have a conversation because Pope thinks that Darren told Adrian that he ended up killing Colby. And Adrian thinks that Pope might suspect that he's been talking to the cops. It's a weird little scene. But Pope walks away, and Adrian, you could see he lets out a sigh of relief. So Pope goes to the bar and he asks Darren whether or not Adrian knows, because Adrian is leaving him and he's going to live with his sisters. And that's a surprise to Darren. And Darren ends up lying to Pope about how he cheated on Adrian, and that's why Adrian is upset. But Pope is like, "You're lying, Darren. I know. And if Adrian is talking to the police, you know what to do." And that's what leads Darren to yell that he's not like Pope. He can't kill people and all of that stuff. And Darren doesn't want to turn into Pope. And I'm like, really? If you're having this conversation and Pope is someone who wants to die as well, I won't be surprised if Darren ends up killing Pope, let's see what happens. Maybe Darren not wanting to be Pope might lead him to kill Adrian, or it might lead him to kill Pope. Either of these two. Let's see. So over at the house, Joshua is at Meredith's, and he came here to steal passes for the boys. So Craig decides to talk to Ren, and he's like, "Ren, why did you even come to me in the first place if you weren't going to stay?" And Ren is like, "I don't know. I messed up my life, and I'm not going to mess up yours as well." And I'm like, what's Ren talking about? Is she the snitch? Is the police trying to get to her? Or is the baby even Craig's? Who knows? So over at the house, Angela and Pope end up bonding again, and I don't like Angela. I do enjoy the actress. I don't like Angela as a character. So Darren decides to go and patch things up with Adrian, and he knocks on the door, and it's Adrian's sister with her son. And I think this is the first time we have seen Adrian's sister. So yeah. Anyway, Adrian comes out and both of them talk about how Adrian decided to leave because Darren wasn't talking to him and he thought that Darren is breaking up. And Darren is like, why would I talk to you, especially after you've been talking to the police? And how can I trust you? And Adrian is like, I didn't tell anyone and all of that stuff. And then Adrian tells Darren that Pope was here, and of course, Darren is afraid, and he immediately tells Adrian that Pope must never know about this because you know what will do. So anyway, these two decides to patch things up, and Darren is like, "Come with me, my love. We need to go home. We'll figure it out." Even though Adrian is in a whole lot of trouble, and I don't know how they're going to figure all of this out. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, so much tension, so much tension. But yeah, anyway, these two are still together. So in the flashback, Janine is still suffering from a hangover, but she gets up. She picks up this toy sword that Pam's son was playing with, and she looks at the mirror, and there's this awesome background song playing, which I loved listening to. And again, I really think that Janine might have a hand in having Pam run away. But yeah, let's see. Anyway, it transitions to Smurf walking in the parking lot, and she steals a car and she decides to go away. She's at the airport, and is she going to go meet Pam? What's she up to? I mean, what do you think? Yeah, I'll do a written review of this for the Geekiary. The link to that will be down in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought about the episode. Like I said, I enjoyed it immensely. It was probably like one of my favorite episodes. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought. And until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later. Bye.